welcome to Grounds Patrol, a podcast for Newgrounds creators. My name is Will Comer. I'm your host, and thank you for coming to this episode that I'm really glad that we got to do. I would say it's kind of an important one. Before we get started, I want to quickly say thank you to everybody who tuned into the last episode, the audio roundtable with Forgotten Dawn and Kawaii Sprite. Got a good couple of reviews for that. Cyber Devil said, another interesting listening session. Playing a couple tracks for the listeners along with the talk was a nice way to combine the two and get a feel for the artist included. So what he's talking about is we played the artist songs and then had them talk about them. It was kind of a fun way to actually know what the musicians' music sounded like while they were talking about it. We enjoyed that. Cyber Devil says, kind of wish the music could have played by itself and then elaborations later for maximum audio appreciation. Yeah, thank you. Good feedback. That was a new thing we were doing, having the music playing and then people talking over the music. In the future, we might try the music playing first and the musicians talking about it. It's a kind of an experiment, so we'll try it. Thank you. Serbsky said, this episode hit home with talk of making a living doing what you love. My one dream is to rival Soulja Boy's console with my own premium console someday. Now that's a dream, and part of me hopes you go for it, Serbskis, and part of me hopes that maybe you don't, because didn't he, go to jail for that? I don't know. Whatever, who can do it? I'll do it and I'll play it. Send me one, please. Send me 3. Great. Here's what's happening. This episode will be coming out on October 9th, 2019. So on October 13th, 2019, it's going to be 10 years exactly since Newgrounds actually lost one of its most beloved creators. His name is Ben Spurgin. If you don't know who Ben Spurgin is, you might have heard of some of the things he did back in the day, namely Stick Slayer, Pimp's Quest, and P-Man. I know if you're not familiar with those works, you're like, why are you honoring this guy whose works are Pimp's Quest and P-Man? But trust me, he was an amazing artist. His work meant a lot to a lot of people on Newgrounds. So Ben's artistic life was cut short. He died of a drug overdose, unfortunately. And when the news broke on Newgrounds, it was very sad. It was a day of mourning. There was a lot of conversation about it on the forums, which you're going to hear about a lot on the episode. So the guy I will be talking to today, his name on Newgrounds is James Simo, and he started out as a game designer who wanted to kind of honor James's legacy by making Pimp's Quest 2 and doing a continuation of it. But as he was doing research on that and doing research on Ben, he started to learn more and more and more. So he's a great resource to talk about Ben and knows a lot of the in and outs of what was going on with him at that time. We're going to talk to James about Ben, about Pimp's Quest, and about his project Pimp's Quest 2, which seeks to continue his legacy a little bit. That's it. Enjoy the episode. I will see you on the other side.
So I guess I'm going to, because I reached out to you.
Yes.
I reached out to you and I said, hey, I heard your podcast, I liked it, and I was wondering if you want to talk about Ben Spurgin. And the reason, obviously, why I'm into Ben is I'm basically kind of developing a sequel to one of his very famous games, Pimp's Quest.
Yeah.
But the whole way I discovered, basically, I didn't know Ben passed away. I've been an active Newgrounder since 2007, although I had a big gap in between not using it like most people. But I was on Newgrounds a lot earlier, 2002. 2002, I was really into it as a kid, like most of us, using it on some dial-up connection probably in the computer lab in school. And
animations and stuff would take 2 hours to load. You can just wait at the loading screen.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing you mentioned that with Pimp's Quest, Ben Spurgin's one of his most iconic games, although he would arguably be more famous for his Stick Slayer series.
Sure, looking back though, I think Pimp's Quest is what I knew of his.
Yes, a lot of people did. I don't have the page open right now, but it has an insane amount of views on Newgrounds. It almost breaks the actual Newgrounds counter. But it's funny you mentioned the long loading times, because when you play Pimp's Quest, when it's loading, because that game took years to load because it was fully voice acted, it had a story card that you could open. It also had you could play craps while it was loading.
Yeah, it was. I had a craps game you could play while the rest of the game loaded. That was revolutionary. That was great.
It was revolutionary. It had a little story. You could click on it and introduce each character you're about to play. Yeah, it was... and even because I live in Far East Asia, so my internet isn't the best, hence why we're talking on Skype. It's still it takes a long time to load, and I really appreciate it because I love playing the new mobile games coming out of Newgrounds, but they're just because everything's so fast, it's just a loading bar. But I get stuck on that for years.
Right.
So I really appreciate it.
We're at the point now where nobody really worries about it except for a fraction of people, and you're in that fraction, so you still appreciate it.
No, yeah, exactly. Nobody thinks about people who don't have, whatever, like 100 megabit internet Ethernet connection. Nobody thinks about that anymore.
I remember thinking about that when Pokemon Go first came out, and everybody was up on it because it was so good. The only thing you got to have is an internet connection wherever you go, which of course everybody has, right?
Yes.
And then it was like, oh, well, what if you're in a rural part of town where there's no internet connection? What does it look like to play that? And similarly, what does it look like to play anything nowadays?
Oh, yeah, they tell you to jog on. It happens with basically all these new live services games as well. It's like, oh, you need a constant internet connection, even though it's a single-player game. It's the same thing, yeah. So I'm definitely in that category. So hence, I still spend a lot of time on Newgrounds because weirdly, it's unrestricted. I'm just a backstory. I'm in China. A lot of things are, you can't access. I can't access Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, but I can access Newgrounds without.
That's wild.
It's crazy.
And for context, you're in China. We're recording this on October 1st, 2019.
Oh, we are. Oh, my Lord, yeah. Oh.
Just so if you wanted to know what the news is going on in China in October of 2019, that's what's happening right now.
I'm going to get a knock on the door.
Yeah, exactly. This was about to be the last words you ever spoke.
Yeah. But, I'm here to speak about someone who I really, really, really admire, Ben Spurgin, and how I kind of went down this rabbit hole. So basically, I make games. I'm not professionally. I do it as a hobbyist. Professionally, I'm in some very boring, tie and lace software development business. But I think I just finished watching. What was the name of that the documentary about the? I think it's literally just called the Indie Dev or Indie Game or something. The documentary. Which had
is that the one with Phil Fish and everything?
Phil Fish and what's a Super Meat Boy and Binding of Isaac. He's a Newgrounder.
Macmillan, yeah, he is a Newground alum.
But yeah, he's a Newground
big
alum.
One.
So I was watching that, and he talked about Flash and how a lot of these games that are really popular now started off in Flash. And I agreed with him, and I was looking at all these old Flash games. I was saying, oh my god, these are so good. These should be. Some of the, they should be rebuilt. And there was two games I wanted to look at. I wanted to look at Stick RPG, which also came out in 2002.
Yeah.
And Pimp's Quest. Because those two games, they stuck in my brain. I don't know why, but they really stuck in my brain. So I looked at Stick RPG first. And it's, the developer's still, he put it on Steam. He's still developing it. There's Stick RPG 2. I was like, great. Oh, great. He's using the property. He's doing something cool with it. That's awesome. I looked at Pimp's Quest, and I typed in Pimp's Quest 2. And all I could find was Newgrounds bulletin board messages asking where the hell's Pimp's Quest 2? And basically Pimp's Quest being uploaded to every single website where a game could feasibly be hosted. I think I saw it on a laundromat's website somewhere. It's insane. It's everywhere. Which was already a bit weird. I was like, why is this game everywhere?
So you're wondering why. I'm looking at this and it's everywhere, but what happened with it and what happened with the development of it?
Yeah, exactly. And then I saw R.I.P. Ben Spurgin, which is actually at the top, in all fairness, or one of the top results. Oh no, because I typed in Ben Spurgin, because that's what happened. Sorry, I was saying, yeah, what the hell happened to his property? All right, Section 8 Studios, that was his company he was building. Click on that. Obviously it didn't work. Well, fair enough. All right, check out his... Newgrounds. Oh, I was about to say he died off. That's a very horrible way to put it. But he dropped off Newgrounds, which happens. And basically I searched Ben Spurgin and Pimp's Quest 2, and I eventually found a Rest in Peace Ben Spurgin post. Now, I would love to say that the first one I found was Tom Fulp's very nice, basically, goodbye Ben, which is really...
Oh no. I have a feeling I know what you found instead.
I've got it open right now. And
Nice.
it says it was by Troll Win. So, I guess
On the Newgrounds forum, we're talking about Newgrounds
forum,
BBS.
Newgrounds BBS. It was,
saw this too.
was the day after his death, or the day after his death was announced. He actually died on the 13th of October. However, it wasn't aware to Newgrounds on like the 23rd or 22nd of October.
Sure.
Yep, and it says, sad news, Ben was an interesting person. He contributed a lot to the flag. I was like, oh, this is great. It's like, oh, sadly, he lost it all. I was like, oh, this is really nice. And then right at the end it says, the good news is he won't be missed or remembered in a few days. Happy emoji.
Good. Newgrounds.
Newgrounds is...
You shouldn't have.
Newgrounds, this is the macabre thing about his passing is that, he was early internet, and he was really into like nerd culture before nerd culture was cool, and he did a lot of things outside of Newgrounds, which we can get into. But yeah, the thing is, and I find it really interesting because he has a footprint on the internet. I got really obsessed. I found like all his stuff. I found his MySpace. I found his YouTube. I found everything. But
so after your research, after you started to find what happened to him, you became a bit of a scholar of this guy, it sounds like.
I really feel like I kind of have. I don't want to sound big-headed. I mean, I Googled him a ton. And the reason why I got so fixated was because I do remember looking him up when I played Pimp's Quest, I think. Or I looked him up a lot later, maybe when I came back in 2007. But I found he had a MySpace page. And I remember thinking, this was the coolest the coolest dude on earth. I thought he was so cool. He was playing, at the time, I think he was playing like more punk rock, although he went into metal and he kind of rotated around genres. And you'll find that with Ben. He basically jumped art form to art form to art form. But I thought he was the coolest guy ever. He cosplayed as Spike from Cowboy Bebop, I've seen, and he's like, hanging out with all these cool... The word would be scene back then, or maybe it was a bit before scene. So it was, again, he was nerd before being a nerd was cool. He was like kind of like, I don't know, alternative before that was a cool subgenre.
Yeah, cosplay before cosplay was something mainstream.
I think it's 2004, 2005. He was Spike Spiegel going to parties and stuff. And yeah, it was cool. And I thought he was the coolest dude on earth. But I don't know, and I'd like to talk to a lot of people about this, because everyone on Newgrounds has the same story. They used Newgrounds a lot earlier before they made an account. And I was the same. I was like, why? I remember as a kid thinking, oh, I couldn't make an account. I don't know why, but I don't know why I didn't think I could make an account. And so because I didn't talk to Ben. I wanted to, but I was like, oh, I couldn't make a MySpace account and talk to this guy. He's a celebrity, maybe. I don't know.
I think there was a big difference on what people thought of as accounts back then. I mean, you wouldn't just... The idea that Newgrounds was somewhere that your famous person could make something and you could also make something, and your two things were on the same platform, on the same website, that was novel.
Yeah.
Back then it was like, oh, people have accounts and they make stuff. I'm not like a licensed artist or something.
Yeah, and also I think media was, because even though we talked about the internet being the wild, wild west, it was still extremely difficult to host work. So if you got something that was pleasant to look at and fun, it assumed a certain level of, if it be technical or artistry, I'm not sure, but I mean, that's the best thing about Newgrounds is that, now it's, not really special, but back this is a really needed website, and anyone, what is it? It's like everything by everyone. I really think that's a really important message. But anyway, I eventually found Ben's real obit on Newgrounds, which is really, it's a quite right at the end. Tom said this in his obit, and his obit is basically saying, as some of you may have seen, a beloved artist has passed away, Ben Spurgin. He debuted as Flash in 2000, and his Stick Slayer series was basically what they talk about, because that's what he was really famous for, I believe. That was his coolest thing. And for people who don't know what Stick Slayer was, Newgrounds had a bit of a problem in the early 2000s. Some animations just involving stick characters fighting became extremely popular. And
simple enough to make.
Some of them were great, though. Like, I still remember, what was it called? I think it was literally just called stickdeathmatch.com or something, was a very famous one.
Yeah, Stick Page is something I remember. Stickpage.com.
Baoshao,
all dedicated to these very rudimentarily animated. It's almost like you took a class on how to animate for one day and then you went and made this. It's instantly gratifying because you're making a fight scene, which is fun. It's like the quickest possible way to get into making something that you could watch and go like, wow, that's so cool. They're fighting. They ripped his head off.
Yeah.
It's just stick figures. It's nothing. It's totally nothing.
And that's what Ben said. Ben hated it. Ben hated the fact that it was basically Baby's first animation. But because it was quite easy to do, you could probably get on the front page or the portal, I guess, the top of the portal back then. Yeah. So that's how he made the Stick Slayer, which was a beautifully animated. He used the brush tool, so it all looks like hand-drawn flash animation of basically this very buff guy who looks a bit like Ben. That's a theme you'll see if you actually look at a lot of Ben's work. He puts real people in his work. Everyone kind of has a story about a real person they're related to, normally him or his brother. And the girl, I believe, was a girl he was seeing at the time. So, yeah, so it's beautifully animated. It was him killing all these stick characters.
Wasn't there a whole plot point that the stick figures, I think, get together in a conference room? We're like, attention, master, there's a fully drawn person killing us all. Fully drawn? What do you mean fully drawn?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That was exactly it. I mean, he passed away right before he was working on Stick Slayer 9, I believe. So a lot of them came out.
9. Holy crap.
I think it was 9, yeah.
9 of those. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think since then there have been like tribute. He was working with another Newgrounders called Mind Chamber, who's still active to this day. He was the first guy to break the news, actually. Tom Fulp, his post wasn't actually the one that announced it. It was actually Mind Chambers, technically. But obviously Tom, got it to the top. And the reason why I bring up Tom's post, it's a very nice, very, very, very concise, what happened. At the end he said, I intend for Newgrounds to last the next 100 years, so this sort of page will unfortunately become more and more necessary. And before that...
Well, we skip a step. Talking about the page of the obituaries where you mention the Newgrounds artists who you've lost over the years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he talked about that. Unfortunately, the conversation under this is a little bit... vitriolic, I would say. Number one, because it's 2009 Edge.
I'm going to, by the way, link this post under this in the author's notes and in Twitter and stuff. So you can see this post and see the post from Trollwind. Get really a good feel for how people responded and acted as a community back then. And it's just like you said, vitriolic. It's instant lashing out. It's just nothing but trolling. There is no sense of camaraderie down there.
Yep. And it's 2009 Edge.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm trying to find out where I thought Tom mentioned it, but I can't see it mentioned in Tom's post. But it got out that Ben passed away to heroin overdose, and that really made the conversation basically like everyone was trying to put in their drug PSA, because that's what you'll find about 2009 suburban Newground users is that they were very edgy but very straight edge normally. So, But I do want to set the record clear, being a bit of a Ben-storian. He didn't die due to heroin. Well, he did die to heroin. However, he was an addict. He spent 2 years clean. I don't know how long he spent addicted. From what I can tell, I don't want to speculate too much because it's a bit disrespectful. But he moved to Seattle. He got into he was doing a lot of cool stuff with music, a lot of metal bands and punk bands. I believe he got into heroin there. However, he cleaned himself up, and I believe he then moved to Colorado. And he was clean for 2 years, from what I can see from posts from his family members. However, like most heroin users, what kills him is actually going back to it. So he died of a relapse. And it normally happens because you stay clean for so long, and then when you go back to it, you don't adjust your dosage, and that's actually what kills more heroin users, is actually going back to it, is relapsing. Kills them more than actual overdose.
So you build up an immunity and you start to take, because that's the thing about heroin. It's very cheap, from what I know. From what I know secondhand. It's very cheap. It's a very good high, and you take a little bit of it, you get a very good high. The only drawback is the next time you need a little bit more of it. So down the line, you take more. So what you're saying is he gets clean, goes to Colorado, but then when he relapses, he goes back to taking the same dose that he had gotten himself up to, that very high dose.
Yeah.
And he just went from 0 to 100 too fast.
Yeah, that's what everyone does. There's a very good book called... It used to be called Junkie or something, but it got renamed to the author's original idea, Junk, and it's a really good book. It was on the Humble book bundle, that's why I had it. So it came in audiobook. But it was basically a very good story about he's a real heroin user in post-war America. And he talks about this, and he brings up, like, heroin, he believes it replaces your cells. Like, your cells become heroin dependent in your body. And that's why the way to treat heroin is keeping them high on a substitute called methadone. You can't actually, you can't cold turkey it. It's such a horrific, deep black drug that it grabs you. Yeah. So I wanted to say that because now I'm trying to find out where the heroin talk came from, because I thought it was in Tom's original post the whole time.
No, it was in the I've read this. It was down. Somebody asked how he died, and then somebody responded like a goddamn drug overdose. Okay. Or a goddamn heroin overdose. And then immediately that sparked it. Everybody was going, heroin overdose, drugs, PSA. Fuck him, drug user.
It might have been a Mind Chambers post, because literally the post right after Tom's obit is, drugs are bad, okay?
Okay, there you go. So it was common knowledge.
Yeah.
Tom made the post, and then people knew what had happened.
Somebody, it was somewhere, but Tom didn't mention it in his post. I think it was in Mind Chambers. And by the way, before this, there wasn't actually a memorial page ever. It was suggested by Jack Baron King on Newgrounds. You'll see it in the original post. I don't want to just read his post verbatim. And he did get, it doesn't link here, but you might want to also link to his obit page, which is actually just the Stick Slayer collection page.
Oh, I saw that. The Stick Slayer, it starts with, it's a collection page for all the Stick Slayer series. And then it starts at the top with text saying, this page now serves as an obituary to Ben Spurgin.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And then it lists the main series, and I said, there were some parodies of this. It lists some parodies, and then it says, there was a tribute to some of Spurgin's work after his death, and it lists that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's a rather nice page, actually. It's a very good page.
It's very good. And Tom, funny enough, speak about tributes, and I want to I want to make Pimp's Quest 2 as a tribute. Tom also made the P-Man game with Psycho Goldfish. He made
I saw that.
Yeah, he made.
What is the P-Man game? I don't know anything about the P-Man game.
So P-Man was another one of his animations, another one of his movies. A really funny movie. Basically about a man whose only superpower is he pees a lot. And they made it into a side-scrolling, side-scrolling shoot 'em up, which is actually really, really good. Because
nice.
It's Psycho Goldfish, so it's really integrated with all the Newgrounds goodies like medals and high score tables, I think, and all that good stuff. Yeah. And another thing for any future Ben-storians out there, I don't know why Ben did this, and I'd really, 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 really like someone to come tell me if they know why. He has 2 Newgrounds accounts. Now, I thought maybe he forgot the password halfway through. He has Ben-Spurgin and just Ben Spurgin. Now, if you are into his game stuff, you would want to go to Ben Spurgin. And if you're into his movie stuff and music stuff, you want to go to Ben-Spurgin. I have no idea why he did this, because from as far as I can tell, both of these they were both made in 2000. And they were both active as far as I can tell. They're both active. That's
interesting.
Yeah.
I hope somebody chimes in. I hope we can find out what's going on. Maybe Mind Chamber or somebody will know.
Maybe Mind Chamber, maybe Tom. Yeah, I'd definitely love to find out. So it's a little bit annoying. I also, at this point, I don't want the episode to be too dark. But this is we do want to remember Ben, because...
Yeah, this is a remembrance episode.
He's incredible, and he embodies the everything, the everything by everyone, because he did everything. He did music, he did art, he did animation. He did music. He did everything. He did games. I mean, he pretty much hit every single media.
Absolutely. I say this on every friggin' episode to everybody that can listen to me. And Newgrounds is one of the only places to this day where you can do multiple kinds of art under the same account.
Yes, exactly. Oh, and I would love to have seen him if the art portal was open, because now,
oh boy,
unfortunately, I can't open it right now. because governments. But there is if you type in "rest in peace Ben Spurgin," a real life friend of his wrote an obit on a website called ipickuppennies.net. Which is again a really good write up. It's about an old friend of his in Seattle who only found out a year later he passed away. But this, I believe it's a she, talks about basically all the fun stuff about Ben, and she has some really nice insights, and you can tell she was a real friend of Ben's. And one of the things she talked about is that, you know, with him getting into heroin, she said she felt it was sort of inevitable because he kept jumping art forms, and so there was always a part of him that was chasing the next big thing, or I guess the next high, if you would. Right. Which is very classic of heroin users. I mean, some of the best artists of our time were users of opioids. Yeah, I do believe what she says. So if you can find it, I definitely recommend reading it up. It's a very nice and touching obit, and it talks a little bit about some fun things about Ben I didn't know about. Like he also did vignette plays, sorry, I should say, not vinaigrette. Vignette plays. Mm-hmm. You know, there was a funny scene where basically he was playing as I think a German soldier.
Yeah, here I have it open, so if you want, I'll read it out.
It's type in the word spy. I think just type the word spy.
Yeah, I'm already right here, so I'll tell you. This is right near the end of the article, and it says, perhaps my favorite memory though came from a play that was a series of vignettes. Ben was playing a German soldier who had captured Walter Mitty, played by Carl, who I guess was somebody else. About to send into the firing squad, Ben was supposed to ask for the honor of lighting the last cigarette of the greatest spy ever. Except one night, Ben forgot a cigarette, so when the time came, he said it was considered an honor to kiss the greatest spy ever. Yeah. Carl apparently didn't so much as blink at the change, he just hauled off and slapped him across the face like a spurned woman in a 20s film.
Yeah, it's like, I don't have my cigarette, so give me a kiss. Yeah. And stuff like that is amazing. Again, I got. I'm going to be honest. It's a morbid curiosity, and I don't like saying that, but I got really into it, into Ben.
There's nothing. It's only constructive to look up the biography and try to figure out the story of somebody you found to have been dead. But it's still a morbid curiosity that drives you. It's not always a bad thing.
Yeah. And also, I mean, he's my age, which kind of hit me, and there's a few similarities which I really dislike. I see a lot of myself in Ben. Now the last thing I want to touch on was there's a lot of post information about Ben, and that actually comes from his mother. His mother made an account on Newgrounds to talk about his son's passing, and Tom.
No way.
Tom mentions it in the actual. If you go to the Tom's page, to the obit, it said our thoughts are with Ben's mom, and it has a link to a Newgrounds account. Miss Deal at Newgrounds. She made an account, and she made a few posts. I don't want to go too much into it. It's heartbreaking because her son died at 32. So she was sharing some stuff that he made. There's a YouTube account which she opened, and she just dumped all his videos of him as a kid, videos of him playing in bands, videos of him. I just want to say that obviously my heart goes out for his entire family, and I absolutely hate it.
Hearing the story of Ben makes me think about how many other Newgrounds creatives from that time faced trouble that we didn't know about.
Oh God,
you know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah.
That was a wild time, and it was like that was the weirdos of the world coming together to make some weirdo shit art.
Yeah,
and those kind of people, unfortunately, also have things happen to them, and they do things.
And it wasn't normal to talk about yourself back then.
Right, not at all.
No, you would never. Like, why would you tell people on the internet stuff? The most Ben ever divulged on Newgrounds was his location, but that was only because he was saying, "Oh, hey, if you're in Seattle and you're in a band, come meet me here."
Yeah.
Or I'll be in... But that was it.
And I mean, you made the point yourself earlier. Yeah. Look at the post and look at the responses to his death and look at the Trollwind thread.
Yeah.
You can tell these are the kind of people. are you going to tell these kind of people that you're a heroin addict? Are you going to share that part of you with them? Exactly. What are they going to do to you?
Exactly.
They're going to crucify you.
But now it's so different. I'm sure if you go on Newgrounds right now and you click on, if you go to all the news, but you look at all the news, not just the curated news, I'm sure you'll find one person who's sharing something that's going on in their life right now. It's normally someone, and I've done it too. I shared when I first launched the Pimp's Quest 2 tech demo. I was actually in hospital, so I talked a little bit. I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm in hospital. I'm pretty bummed out. I'm actually going to share, So I put Pimp's Quest 2 up a bit early so people could look at it and have people to talk to. But yeah, now no one's afraid to talk about themselves.
Did people respond? Did they say, "Hey, I hope you're doing okay"?
Oh yeah, no, that was another thing. And I want to talk to you about this as well.
Please.
The internet has gotten, I would argue, everyone says the internet's a horrible, horrible place, but at least in Newgrounds, it has gotten nicer. As in, I don't think
I would say the same thing.
No one's going to call me, I haven't seen any racial epithets in quite a while, or any, homophobic language or anything like that. It's like, I swear to God, on Newgrounds, if I put the "I'm in hospital" and I could take that back to 2009 or 2000, or even further, someone would say, "Oh, I hope they unplug you," or something like that.
I hope you die. Yeah,
I bet there would be one of those.
Kill yourself.
But no, I got lovely things like, "Hey, now I post that. I was like, oh, hang in there, dude. I hope you're well. PM me if you need any info, you need anyone to talk to." It's all like that. But the reason I want to talk to you about that is not just the internet in whole, but Newgrounds we have refugees here. You know about the refugees from Tumblr.
I was about to say the same thing. I was going to say, I think I know a reason at least why Newgrounds is becoming more wholesome now.
Yeah.
And you just hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
Or not just the Tumblr refugee situation, but also before that. And I've heard people say this from Newgrounds, and tell me if you agree. When the art portal was invented on Newgrounds, we got an influx of visual artists who were making art. And the visual art community on the internet was years and years and years more evolved community-wise and critique-wise than the rest of Newgrounds was. And suddenly it was a different kind of community. It was a community of people that were very supportive, very progressive, very, what would you say, inclusive. And kind of when Newgrounds saw that, when the biggest people on Newgrounds saw that, they, I think, found within themselves a drive to become kind of like that too.
Yes, definitely, because exactly, and it's not a bad thing. It's because again, nobody wants to be known as a horrible cesspit of a community. So I think that definitely bigger people who want Newgrounds to succeed are definitely like, maybe we should actually take some notes here.
All it took was a positive example.
But also, I think the internet in general is just getting like the newer internet users are, they're a lot more transparent. I'm really transparent. My username, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm James Simo, which honestly doesn't need a big internet detective. That's basically my full name.
Yeah, there you go. I did the same thing. My username is Will KMR. That stands for Will Comer. Yeah. I introduced the podcast as I'm Will Comer. I think the concept of like weird anonymous handles is kind of gonna die out, or at least not be as important.
I think it bell curved. If you can imagine a bell upside down. So so at first it started off, everyone used their real name because who cares? It's just the internet. But then, in the Wild West time, it's like, actually, I want to protect myself because I want to say all these horrible things or look at these weird things on the internet. And now it's kind of shooting back down because, I don't know, I think it's because everything has to be tied to a mobile phone nowadays. Like,
that's true.
Another nice thing about Newgrounds is I don't have to use my flipping mobile phone. I do not. Dear website, I do not want to use my mobile phone to use your garbage platform. Okay, I do not want to think that not only my username can be banned, but then you have my real name and address attached to it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And Facebook came out. A lot of people were against the idea of putting their real name on Facebook. But then over time, more and more people made the choice to put their real name on Facebook.
Yeah.
And now we're at the point where basically I think the feeling is all your information is already online, so who are you trying to fool?
Yes.
If people wanted to know, they could just find it.
That, and also with also it's sort of the mentality of, well, I'm not doing anything wrong. So, you know,
Yeah,
I think
I have nothing to hide, so why bother?
Yeah, so I think it
Say
takes
so.
a special kind of mind, which I really hate because I use that name, but I'm secretly quite an edgelord, and I wish I could be more edgy.
Finally, you say it.
And that's kind of why Pimp's Quest really stuck out to me, and that's, you know, for people who don't know, by the way, yeah. So I said earlier, I made a tech demo for what I would like a Pimp's Quest 2. More for the technology, but I have an idea for Pimp's Quest 2, and I've opened it up to the community, and I'm asking people to help me build this crazy sequel to Ben's original game, and I want everyone to help me.
Yeah. Now we're going to talk about Pimp's Quest 2. I'll say first that I played a little bit of Pimp's Quest just to reacquaint myself. Mm-hmm. I played your tech demo as well, mm-hmm. and there's quality there, and there's literary and artistic merit there somewhere. But it's very, very much an early Flash game, and you gotta admit that. It's so simple. Gradients, the walk cycle's janky as hell.
Yep.
It's very kind of like... It feels to me the kind of thing that I would play alone in my room as a 13-year-old kid. It's the like silly, you know, crappy graphics and weird voices, and the guy walks like by like flopping one foot in front of the other like it was drawn very quickly.
Yep. That's the thing.
Like if one of my friends walked by me playing the game right now, they'd be like, "What the hell are you doing? What is that?"
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, exactly. And that's why I built it, because it couldn't be made today, I think. You know, we say that. We were just talking about, you know, being progressive and more nice on the internet. There's also that culture where you get a lot of these stand-up comedians now who just say, oh, I couldn't do this anymore. Like Jerry Seinfeld's too afraid to go to college campuses to do his stand-up. Jerry Seinfeld is too afraid to do stand-up.
Yeah. Where are you on that? How do you feel about that? No judgment zone.
Well, I think he's right. I think he's right, and I do think that... I think that we shut down a lot of potential art because it may be quote-unquote problematic. And I think that that's not a good way to look at it. But also I think that, you know, you should be allowed to put something garbage on the internet and get told it's garbage on the internet. However, it's not like that anymore. It's if you put up something and it's garbage, if it's offensive garbage, you'll get cancelled.
You get canceled. Well, see, I'm not quite on the same page as you. I don't quite have the same opinion. I think that Seinfeld is right to realize that the college people are wanting something a little bit more forward-thinking and aggressive. I watch some of comedians in cars getting coffee, and sometimes Seinfeld says something, and I'm like, damn, you sound like an old man.
Yes. No, there is
That's
that.
a backwards-ass shit. Alec Baldwin made, like, #MeToo, oh, I can't touch my wife anymore jokes on comedians in cars getting coffee, and I'm like, what are you, 100 years old? Give it the times.
Yeah, okay, so that stuff. So Seinfeld might be a bad example because I didn't know, I never thought him to be edgy.
Me neither. To me, he's like the least edgy person ever. He's, what's the deal with airline food kind of guy. That was the worst impression. I'm so sorry.
What's the deal with airline food? Yeah. Yeah. Dave Chappelle as well. But him, I didn't bring him up because I do see merit in not appreciating where he's coming from, and I think Dave Chappelle's a little bit in the times. I don't think he's as bad. I think that, you know, again, I think a cancel culture has come after him when in reality it's just not. He didn't do you know, he wasn't very avant-garde. I don't think. I think in some areas are really funny, but he shouldn't be cancelled. I don't think he should be cancelled. And that's kind of my point.
Right. Sure, I get that.
And that's why I decided to make Pimp's Quest 2, because I was looking at it, I was like, God, this is garbage. And I was actually remaking it just as a private little, basically I wanted to practice my HTML5 development skills. And I said, and this is how I work. First I started making Pong, then I made Breakout, then I made like a sort of Outrun clone, and that's how I go. I clone existing properties. Just to practice. I don't publish them, just to practice. I was remaking Pimp's Quest 2 for fun. And I don't know why, but I decided to completely copy the art style, or as emulate it, but using all brand new technology. So even though Hooch's walk cycle, I rotoscoped it. I rotoscoped it using brand new SVG technology. And I actually had to build a library to actually read the character sprite and get the color pixels, and then actually apply points in between them and interpolate between the points. But looking at each frame individually, I'm like, yeah, it was very quick. You said it was quickly made. That took him a year to build, by the way, that game. Pimp's Quest took a year to build.
Jesus.
1 year. Granted,
I mean, I see why, and I know why, but oh my God.
Granted, he was working full-time at the time. And if we go back to the I Pick Up Pennies obit from one of his friends, they said that he actually stopped going to work when he got really into Flash. He actually just stopped showing up to work when he got really into... I think when Stick Slayer became big, he just didn't go into work.
Yeah.
He just worked on Stick Slayer.
And nowadays, you can imagine somebody like, if he was doing it today, he'd probably have a Patreon. He'd probably be supported. He'd probably be doing his thing.
Yeah, definitely for Stick Slayer. I don't think he could do that with Pimp's Quest. And I feel a bit bad about choosing Pimp's Quest to like hoist him up on a pedestal, because the reason why I didn't touch Stick Slayer is because it's art. I think Stick Slayer is actually art, and I know that sounds pretentious of me, but I got to get the most out of my student loan. it's that.
I mean, it made a point.
It's art. It made a point. It looks decent. It looks good. He tried hard. Pimp's Quest is not art. It's YouTube poop before YouTube poop was a thing.
Yeah,
but
it's silly. It's bullshit.
When I was building it, I was like, okay, this could not be built today. This could not be made today. And I wanted to improve too much. As I said, I was going through it frame by frame, trying to recreate it. I was like, oh, it's just too bad. Like, why can't I use my mouse? Why is the screen so small? The sound is terrible. I cannot believe how bad it sounds. As a kid, I was like, I like this as a kid. But I thought, yeah, but it's funny, and pimps aren't a thing anymore. We don't talk about pimps, really.
No. Especially, like, first thing you see it right out of the box, it's a white dude.
Yeah.
You're doing Pimp's Quest, and it's a white guy with a mustache and a pink hat.
And speaking in a, I don't know what you'd call that, like a Bayou New Orleans accent. I don't know what you'd call it. Yeah,
like the shittiest, like, I think it's a pretending to be black accent. I think it's like a blackface voice.
It is Ebonics, yeah, he's like...
Yeah, he's speaking in Ebonics dialect. He's some white dude. Of course, talking about can't make this today.
I'm going through bitches like rags to riches. Yeah. I can quote the entire, because I've gone through it so many times, I can quote the entire thing.
Sure.
It's like, here's that before I smoke like it ain't no thing. Yeah, exactly. He says that. Oh,
holy crap.
Yeah, and that's another thing that get cancelled. Yeah, I don't think I could have white people pretending to be black people.
I don't think so either. I think that's a good thing to say.
Yeah, so as I say, I'm opening it up. I got way into building this tech demo, and I said, you know what? Everyone online is asking for a Pimp's Quest 2. I would like to maybe try it. But I opened it up to the community because number one, I'm not going to make any money off it. I've already talked to Tom Fulp, and Tom said that he can turn off adverts on the final game page. So even Newgrounds won't make any money off the final product. Obviously, there's going to be no adverts.
In honor of Ben.
In honor of Ben, of course. And also, I mean, it's his character. I'm hoping to put a lot of new fun characters in there. But I'm also, it's a bit touchy. So I'm opening up to community. I'm going to post up some storyboards I have. And I'm hoping to get the attention of some people who really want to just write some funny stories and funny bits.
This is an interesting thing. I didn't really think about it until now, but you're making Pimp's Quest 2, but yet you're talking about now how you are considerate of how racist it was.
Oh yeah, racist, and I guess it was a misogynist as well.
So where are you on that? Do you think that you can honor the spirit of Pimp's Quest while still being progressive? Is there where are we on that?
Do you want to hear a spoiler?
Sure, lay it on us.
So far, I got a core line down. I wrote the core story, and basically it's set pieces. That's how Pimp's Quest works. And for anyone who doesn't know, because you have better things to do than play a ancient 2002 Flash game.
Ancient Flash game? Yeah, sure.
It's a point-and-click adventure. You are a pimp. The story is you get into a gunfight. The prelogue is that you are a low-level thug, and you get into a drug dispute or something, and you shoot a guy whose brother owns the city, essentially. Gang lord, Rudy Youngblood. You shoot Rudy Youngblood, and his brother owns the city, and you've got to escape the city by making some money. You find a bum called Nog, who's hilarious, and he asks you to find him a stripper to have intercourse with.
Classic.
And you go through the point and click, and you get her through some little puzzles, and you gotta you gotta get a new suit. You gotta get a new suit. You have a shootout. That's the game. Now I've written the second one. I have a little problem with my Pimp's Quest game. I forgot to put pimping in there. I have some fun stories. I have fun set pieces. There's no women right now. I need to add.
I'm almost not mad about that, though.
I think it might work. So I want to share the stories. I want to see. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's more about you. You do get women, but you're actually trying to help a tech company. The tech company is actually a play on words of Ben Spurgin's old company, Sector 8.
Okay.
It's called Sec 8 or something like that. Like it sounds like Suck It. And they're an internet company, and they pretend to be extremely progressive on the outside. But when you go into their offices, it's just a bunch of tech frat bros sort of thing. And I don't know, some news people are going to come to the office, and the CEO's going to hooch saying, "Oh, yeah, I need you to actually get me some women to put in the office to pretend they work here so we can look progressive." That's sort of the goal. And then each girl has their own mini quest around them, and you got to help them out somehow. But there's no intercourse, and there's no drugs. I also made a conscious effort not to put any drugs. Might be some marijuana because that's a thing now in America. But definitely no heroin, because that's a foreboding
That would be the
thing.
worst. That would be just the worst thing.
Well, there's a foreboding thing in Pimp's Quest. It's the first thing he says is the second thing you do is that you pick up a heroin needle and you get heroin and you sell heroin in Pimp's Quest. And it kills him. So I'm probably going to avoid that. Yeah, yeah, that was him though. Yeah,
there you are. You're in a place where you have to honor the source material without falling for the traps that the source material fell for.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do the heroin because it's inappropriate to talk about Ben and talk about heroin. Yeah. You can't do the prostitution. You can't do the white guy doing the black voice.
Yes.
So I guess you really got to delve into where is the wonder? Where's the joy? Where's the part that you can pull out and do another one of?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, the thing you say about the joy, weirdly in Pimp's Quest is that there's exactly one quote-unquote hoe and one quote-unquote John. I mean, now Pimp's Quest 2, Ben was working on it. However, it completely stopped after, I'd say, 2005, 2006. It completely died off. However, he did post screenshots, and I will share them with you, and I would like maybe you to be able to host it somewhere for me. And I don't know if you want to see it, but I got screenshots of it. I went in the Wayback Machine. Oh, and another thing, people, if you have some time, get on the Wayback Machine and check out his 2004, what his website looked like. It's a Flash cheese amazing. It's so amazing, his old website. Section 8, I think it's section8.net, but you can find it, and he has it posted anywhere. If you go to his games, you'll see it. Yeah, but anyway, It was beautiful cheese. But anyway, I archived a lot of it, and his screenshots, from what I can tell from the Pimp's Quest 2, that was actually going to be more about getting women to men. And you had a roster of women, and you'd have to get them to the guys, and you had a phone book with women, and that was what I believe the idea was. Unfortunately, he didn't talk about it a lot, and he never posted a public beta. But something he did make with another content creator, they actually made a Pimp's Quest online as well, and actually went into open beta or closed beta. It went in closed beta.
Pimp's Quest Online.
Pimp's Quest Online. If you type it in, you'll find it. It's on the forums. That's the best place to find out about it. I'd love to talk to anyone who actually played that. I reached out to a few people, but nobody seemed to reply yet. But if anyone remembers,
how does that work? Is it like a massively multiplayer thing?
Massively
Do you choose your character?
Massively multiplayer. I think you can get about 30 people at the same time. They said 20 to 30 people.
No way.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Flash, all built in Flash. It had its own website. It's called pqonline.net. I have the logo for it.
Okay.
I'll share that with you later. The logo for Pimp's Quest Online. I have that. That's the only thing I have of it, though. No screenshots. And anyone talking about it is just saying, "Oh, I can't log in. It says the server's full or something." That's the only thing I could find.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's interesting, huh?
Yeah. So as I said, Ben had his own idea for Pimp's Quest 2, but my story is it's 16 years or 17 years in the future. Hooch gets into a shenanigans at the end of Pimp's Quest 1, and I will show that in a cutscene. And then he wakes up in a hospital because I'm a hack, and that's how hack writers write. And he goes back to the old town, which you play in Pimp's Quest 1, that whole street layout. But everything has been rejuvenated. It's kind of, I guess, a metaphor for the way Newgrounds we were just talking about. everything's more progressive and friendly. And I'm going to go back to the streets and make those all nice and friendly and lovely. And instead of the smoking joint strip club, it's going to be, like a Starbucks alternate, like something like Starbucks, obviously not Starbucks. Yeah.
So it's being gentrified, basically.
Yeah, and instead of like Uncle Bob's urinal cakes, it's gentrified. Thank you. It's all gentrified. And Hooch is like trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Why is everyone so nice? And but I want him to keep talking the way he does. And a lot of the comedy, I hope, comes from just the way that, somebody's like, oh, hey, how are you? He's like, hey, no dang. It's like, why are you talking like that?
What are you doing? What is that accent? Are you going to develop his character a little more, the character of Hooch? Maybe you could say he's from New Orleans, and so he has a naturally Louisiana accent.
No backstory to the why he talks like that. I'm not gonna defend him.
Okay, you're right.
I'm not gonna defend. But also it's Ben's character. But I want to put him in situations which I think would be funny.
Yeah.
He might not be the core focus. As I said, it's still early days of story. I've got a tech platform. The tech demo is to show that I've actually got a platform to build a Pimp's Quest game. So it's got character controls, it has scene-to-scene transitions, it has a shootout, you can play mini-games in it. So I got that already. Now I need to build it all together, but maybe it could be a different character. I would like to introduce more unique characters, because obviously this is Ben's work, and I don't want people to think that I'm, just
of course
aping him or stealing from him. I do want to develop things a little bit more. I'm not sure about that yet, but one of the things is that, because Hooch has been basically on ice for 17 years, he becomes very attractive to these scummy tech people because he has no online presence and he has no mobile phone and he has no things you'd expect. Or maybe he'll have a Nokia N-Gage. I'm not sure. But, he has no presence, and he's going to stay the same, but everything around him has changed, and he's going to try to use his, New Orleans, his street smart to
his charm
to get these people. So that, as I say, it's all very early though, and I would love someone who can write funny and someone who thinks they can do something funny with Hooch to come join me. There is a thread on the collaboration board, and I've opened everything up, and I'm going to put the code online. The code's going to be open source. The art, I'm still finding a license that would respect the artist's right, because the code is open source. Everything I do is open source. I do not want credit for anything. But if artists
a license for the assets and stuff,
so the assets, I want them to remain to the artist. If you're nice enough to give me your art, I don't want to put it under MIT. I don't want to just say, oh great, now it's in the ether. I want to say, well no, you still Newgrounds has it. Like, they let you choose your license.
Yeah, because I was about to say, why not just go CC non-C, do a Creative Commons non-commercial?
I might do it. I might do it. I got to see. Right now, no artists have approached me, but I probably need to get some more stuff out before anyone's willing to waste their time. I have a lot of voice actors lined up, which is nice.
Good.
Obviously, I'm going to sound super progressive. People of color are very welcome, because I definitely...
Very good.
Because
Pimp's Quest, you got to have people of color.
I got to have people of color. Women as well. I need women. I'm sounding progressive, but I am doing it for a reason. It's actually needed. I'm not going to make Hooch black.
Sure, why not?
Oh my God, I can make Hooch a black woman. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. By the way, people don't know, Hooch Panda Snatch is the character's name, and everyone's name is ridiculous.
Jesus Christ.
Hooch Panda Snatch. Yeah, exactly.
Hooch Panda Snatch.
But it's a little creative exercise to see what we can do with this character and not get people calling my work trying to get me fired.
Okay. I think that's a valid effort. I think that's a worthy cause.
I hope so. I'd say I'm too far down the rabbit hole now. But again,
of course.
I'm happy we can do this episode. Remember Ben, he passed away October 13th of 2009.
Yes.
There's a lot online, and it's also really not chilling, but it's we all going to leave an online fingerprint. And Newgrounds is so amazing, because Newgrounds is the only place that has kept his words and content alive since 2000 till now. It's still all online, and that's an amazing thing. So honestly, Newgrounds, it really, really made me like Newgrounds. It's not like Facebook where, number one, the things just get deleted naturally. MySpace is crazy. He still has a MySpace page, but everything around it's deleted. The only thing that's stayed is his pictures. Mm-hmm. And I think some of his music's on MySpace, but everything around, like all the comments, everything's gone. Like all the text is gone. His wall is gone. It's only his pictures now, which is nice, I guess.
Getting washed away. But on Newgrounds, there he is.
Yep. And his mother has also done a great job. I'd say she made a YouTube channel uploading all his stuff. and she's been posting his stuff everywhere. Obviously, she doesn't talk about it now, and I didn't reach out to Ben's mother for this because I just let
Sure.
let the dead
live and let live.
Let the dead rest, but legends live forever. That's kind of what I like to say.
That's
and
right.
On Newgrounds, he's a legend that needs to live forever.
And on an ending note, you know that thread with Trollwind saying, "Oh, he's gonna be forgotten in a few days." Guess what, buddy?
Yeah,
you're wrong.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You're dead wrong.
Exactly.
10 years, Mr. Trollwind. Well, James, thank you for coming on, and thanks for sharing this guy's memory. Really.
No, it's great, and thank you so much, Will, for having me on. I'm really, really chuffed that I got to talk about this because it's just been me, just in my breaks, just like Googling it, filtering out all the 20 million places that have his work because he's obviously no one's around to defend Pimp's Quest. That's another thing. It's defended on Newgrounds as an archive, but nobody's like chasing up all these like scammy third-party people who are placing it behind ad walls.
Yeah. Well. Now, hopefully, it will stop being just you. You can be the spreader of the message. And now we all know Spurgin.
Yes, hopefully, exactly.
It's great. A big thank you to James for joining me for that. And thank you to you guys for joining me, too. I'm glad we were able to get this together and do this at this point in time specifically, at the 10-year mark of his passing. You can find links to a lot of the stuff we talked about today on our Twitter. We're going to make sure that we link it all to you. This is usually where I would ask if you have any thoughts you'd like to share about the episode, leave a review on Newgrounds. I think for this one, it's more of a flavor of if there's something you remember about Ben or something you want to say about Ben, that especially that this episode might have just conjured up for you, leave a review with it on Newgrounds. I'll read some at the top of the next show. I'd like to hear what you guys are thinking. Quick shout out and thank you to our groundskeepers, Tom Fulp and Serbskis. They are our top level patrons who help keep the podcast alive. You can find our Patreon at patreon.com/groundspatrol. By the way, guys, I should tell you, Grounds Patrol is not just me. In fact, it's produced and edited by Cam, aka Ninja Muffin. Thank you, Cam, aka Ninja Muffin. I don't know why I haven't said this before, but I will start saying it from now on. You deserve it. You do a lot. Cam did this episode specifically while doing Ludum Dare at the same time. You're a madman. You're just a madman. I love it. Thank you for everything. And thank you to Waterflame for the use of his song Below. Guys, you can join our Discord at bit.ly/GroundsPatrol. You can follow us on Twitter at Grounds Patrol. Follow me on Newgrounds and Twitter at WillKMR. And our next episode is on October 23rd. Spooky. Until next time, guys, stay creative.